It's verse 25 of the 10th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus is giving warnings to his disciples who are about to go out on their first mission in the towns and villages of Galilee, but of course he's also anticipating the much broader mission that they will undertake at a later time, and giving warnings that the fact that they will undergo certain kinds of persecution and so on should not surprise them, because of course their master has gone through the same kind of experiences. And extending that discussion, we have verse 25. So arketon, this is from arketos. Arketos is an adjective. It is based on a verb, which is arkeo, which means I am satisfied. And from that is derived the notion of the adjective to be sufficient. So something is sufficient. It's set up here as a predicate nominative. The implied verb esten is not found, but that's often the case, of course. So it is sufficient is the idea. To mathete, this is the dative singular of the noun mathetes, the disciple. The dative suggests with reference to, so it is sufficient with reference to the disciple. Hena takes the subjunctive we have here, in order that genetai, from genomai, I become. This is the third person singular, aorist, active in meaning, middle in form, subjunctive, to become. So it is sufficient for the disciple to become hos. Hos is the particle here. It means as. Ho didaskalos, so the disciple becomes as the teacher, autou, possessive pronoun of him. That's sufficient. That means you've fulfilled your calling to be like your teacher. You don't need to exceed your teacher, is the implied message. Kai, the connective, hodoulos, the slave, which is the nominative singular. Hos, same thing here, the particle. Hokurios, autou, of the Lord of him. So it's sufficient if the disciple becomes as his teacher, or the slave becomes as his Lord. Then an interesting sort of illustrative statement here. A takes the indicative, if, ton oikodespotein. This is from despotes. Of course, our word despot comes from this, which usually has a negative connotation, not so much in Greek. The oiko, of course, suggests a house. Master of the house is the idea. So if the house master, Beelzebul, of course Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, the idea there, epikolasin, from kaleo, means to call. The epi means to confer upon. To call as in assigning a name. So if the despot of the house, the master of the house, has conferred upon him the name Beelzebub, then poso, to what extent, this is the dative singular, so it's a dative of reference, you might say, or degree. So to what extent, rather, malon is a conjunction, to what extent, rather, tos oikiakus. This is those who are attached to a house. The master of the house, those who attach to the house. Servants within it, those who dwell there, autou, of it or of him. So if the master of the house has the name Beelzebub, then how much more will those who are residing in that house, attached to the house, receive the same name? Of course, it probably is an allusion to the fact that Jesus, not yet in Matthew, but soon enough, is going to be said to be performing miracles in the power of Beelzebub, in the power of Satan. And Jesus, in a sense, is giving warning. If they're going to say that about me, then you can anticipate that they're going to be saying something like that about you as well. So we're giving an inverse illustration of the fundamental axiom that there is it's sufficient for the person who is the student or the slave to be compared favorably, finally identified with the master. And Jesus is just simply warning them that the treatment he's received will be something of what they will receive as well.